Welcome to Marvel Champions Podcast, a podcast about Marvel Champions, the card game. I'm your host, Scott, and with me, as always, my co-host, Ryan.
Glad to be here, and honestly, I think we are lucky to be able to do this podcast.
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky to be talking about our episode tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Strife. No, just kidding.
No, not today. Not today. The probability of doing that next time is higher.
Well, what if, like, right now we're in the right place, right time?
If you haven't picked up on it yet, listeners, we're talking about some Domino.
The dominoes are gonna fall.
Or when? I don't know.
stack them all up and then knock them down.
Yeah.
In like a cool X-Men, I guess technically X-Force icon symbol.
Here's a big question. Is there an actual dominoes game? I've heard of the game Chicken Foot with dominoes, and I've played that before. But is there actual games with dominoes?
Yeah, there's actually the game Dominoes.
Never heard of it.
When I lived in Texas, I would volunteer at a old people home, and the old people loved some dominoes, so I learned how to play dominoes, and it's actually kind of fun.
That's pretty awesome. I never told you the story that when I lived in Nevada, I did a bingo tournament at a community center and won. It was pretty good. I got some pretty evil looks from some people.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we would play dominoes, and then they would feed us from the cafeteria, and that was the first time I ever had catfish, fried catfish. So yeah,
that's an experience.
It was. It was fried catfish and cabbage.
Oh, that sounds like a recipe for a bad bathroom experience.
Yes, luck was not a lady that day.
All right. Well, let's get into Domino. So how should we start this off?
So Domino is the other hero that comes in the next Evolution campaign box. I think of general overview of Domino, she comes with the justice aspect. And Domino, I think, is one of those heroes that's kind of shifted the way you kind of play a hero. She has a lot going on.
She is definitely in that more complicated area of heroes.
Yeah, she's one that she has a lot going on, a lot of timing, a lot of things you got to kind of work through, so you really maximize what you're doing and don't kind of get 3 steps ahead and be like, oh, I should have done this first.
Yep, absolutely. Let me kind of give some basis. When we first got the box, you played Domino through the campaign. And so I've had to come back through and play Domino a couple times. What's your, I guess we can hold off on overall perspective, but what do you think of her hero card itself, the actual alter ego / hero?
I think she is base stats. We'll talk about hero first, I guess. Base stats, when you look at her and you're a 1 thwart, it's kind of rough. 2 attack, it's kind of standard. 3 defense is really good. And luckily the way she plays, she doesn't need to be ready, so being able to defend and utilizing that 3 defense is something you can kind of do quite often to kind of help her, because she's a little spongy. She only has a hit point total of 9, which is, I think, one of the lower in the whole game. But I think overall she's good because her other big thing is you get to count wild as doubles, and a lot of her cards, whether they're events or her allies, really key in off of having that extra bump when you're counting those wilds.
Yeah, and all of her cards are wilds except for Jackpot, which is all 3 of the resources.
Yeah. And the other big action on hers, you can stack the deck in your favor. You can create your own luck by putting a certain card right on top. You can switch out the top card of your deck with a card in your hand. So
Yeah.
you can go into whatever event you're about to play knowing really what's going to happen.
Yeah, I would say the designers did a great job of simulating luck for her in in the best way of kind of in the gaming world and without it actually being luck. So I thought they did a good job on making that happen.
Yeah, it is tough to create luck from a randomized deck card draw style of game.
Yeah.
And I think they really found a way to make it feel like you were getting lucky, but not feel like she was too overpowered.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely moments of luck where you're like, oh, I hope this is this card, and boom. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I felt like you drew Jackpot when you needed it.
Yeah, and it's always nice with Jackpot because it has a response that when you discard it from the top, you get to shuffle it back in. And when your deck gets kind of thinned out and low card count, you can sometimes luck out and get it like an additional time and just keep throwing it right back in the deck, which is really nice.
Yeah. I have noticed that she is. It's kind of weird because I feel like there's heroes that are very influenced by the aspect they choose, and then there's heroes that it doesn't matter what aspect you choose, it's all about their hero cards. And I feel like she's kind of a mixture of both. She's all about her cards because they're wilds and they fit her thing, and all of her cards kind of fit this whole luck stuff. But her aspect really kind of leans her into what she's going to do. So if she's going to be aggression, she's going to be able to use those aggression cards to be more attacking in justice, protection, or whatever you choose, and you can make it work with her luck.
Yeah, I feel like she really does fine with any aspect.
Yeah, I guess in an easy way of she does good in any aspect.
Yeah, because like you said, you're really hunting down for her cards. You're trying to get them back to the top. You're trying to get cards with wilds. You're trying to get cards that have a when discarded from the top, you get to do this or that. You're really hunting and really stacking your deck full of things that are benefiting off of her mechanic. Because like the next point I was going to make is her precon, in my opinion, was pretty much garbage. I'm pretty sure when I got her precon, I think I took out like 80% of the precon minus like one ally. We kept in the player side scheme. I think I ended up keeping like 1 or 2 overwatches, and that was about it. Yeah, I kept in the superpower training because that was really good, and the sharpshooter and her resource cards to play off her mechanic.
Yeah, she comes with a reprint of Overwatch, like you said, and also Even the Odds. And Even the Odds is okay at best. It's a remove 1 threat per player from each side scheme, and then deal 1 damage to the villain for each side scheme defeated this way. So it can. I mean, it's not a bad card, but it just doesn't seem to land a whole lot. And then the other card was Team Investigation, which I'm not a big fan of. Though technically, I think we might have missed this when we first reviewed it back in the preview. It is not a thwart card, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's a good catch.
It would still get caught by the crisis icon because I think the crisis specifically says the removal of threat, not just a thwart
Right.
something. But
Well, it
but
actually
it
wouldn't.
still is.
It wouldn't matter because it's only from a side scheme.
Oh, that's a good point. So it's still not that great.
But
We
it
didn't
could
use
get
it.
around. It could get around to confuse.
Yes.
Yeah, even the odds, I just don't. You have to have like the right setup and have thwarts that are way low, or schemes that have very low thwarts on them, like setup and ready. And it's too much random setup luck that you're not creating.
Yeah, it's a card that's designed to be a lot of players, because you have to think of it just math wise. You have what's the justice go to? For justice,
Yeah.
which is 2 costs for 3, 4 if you do the extra stuff. But so in this case, to get that semi close, and again, it's only side schemes, you'd have to play 3 players. But if you're playing 4 players, remove 4 threat from a side scheme, from each side scheme. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Higher player counts, that card can be decent.
Yeah.
All right.
What
Enough
do you
about
think?
justice.
Okay,
Go ahead.
here we go. What do you think is one of her key cards?
I think for setup, I think, and I talked about the superpower training sets up one of her key cards. Superpower training is this player side scheme that lets you go fetch a identity specific upgrade. And I think for her, that upgrade is her probability field.
Yep.
It lets you interrupt and exhaust it, and then you get to add the resource value that you discard to her basic. So you could potentially turn her into, on average, if you're discarding a wild, a 2, 4, 5 at any given time, one of those 3, when she's doing something. And I think that really helps her because she does have a little bit of issues thwarting. She only has 2 event thwarts, and her Luck Be Lady can help her thwart a little bit. But that's one of her, I would say, her slight weaknesses.
Yeah, she does tend to have more consistent attacking, especially once you get her pistols out. Those are really her consistent damage dealer.
Yeah, that would be my other thing to point out is her pistols is what you can consistently throw at those damage, whereas the probability field can make up for that thwart lack that she has in her base stats.
Yeah, I agree. I think probability field is really her big setup card. Once you have that, it really is effective with what you do. Defense, if that's what you're into, thwarting, attacking, whatever. I think one card that I really like, that I think has been huge for all the games that we've played her with, is Luck Be a Lady. I think that event is her single best event.
Yeah, and that one's good because you can either, hopefully you're getting it set up with Jackpot where you can do one of each, or you're setting it up with a wild and you can do 2. One of those 3 twice, which is nice.
Yeah. It's just a very versatile card, and especially if you have a way to get it back, like use it, flip down, and try to pull it back with her alter ego action. It's a good way to try to keep that going, because it's so good. It's so helpful to heal someone. That's probably my favorite thing about that card, is its ability to heal.
Yeah, we played in a game recently where you were able to heal me, and it kept me from having to flip down and recover, which was big.
And you did it plenty of times for when we did the campaign, either with me as Cable or an ally, that you keep that ally out longer.
Yeah, that is the nice thing because it's from a character and doesn't say from like an identity or hero, which is nice.
Yeah. All right, you ready? Rapid fire?
Yep. Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Okay. Out of her 2 signature allies, which one do you like more? Diamondback? Outlaw?
Personally, I like Diamondback more.
Hot take.
Yeah, it's a hot take, and she's a little situational, but I felt like when I needed her to perform, she performed, and it was nice to be able to do a lot of spread damage.
All right.
Because it's every enemy, not just like pick a player and their minions and villain. It's every enemy.
Correct. Yeah, it's very versatile, like you said. Just being able to do 1 damage. Well, I guess hold on. Let me pull it up. It's at least 2, right?
Yeah, you deal 1 damage to each enemy for each resource icon discarded. So you exhaust her.
1.
You deal a damage to her, and then you discard the top. So hopefully you're doing at least 2 with a wild, and then maybe 3 with like a jackpot.
Yeah, that's huge. 2 to everybody. That's like a Ultron killer. And it's when I played with her in our last game, it was very beneficial to just be able to boom, got some damage on everybody.
Right, even if it didn't
and
kill
it's not
him.
An attack.
Yeah, it's not an attack, and if it didn't kill the minion, it got it significantly weakened, where you could go and kind of take people out.
Yep.
All right. Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Yep. Still going.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Pip the Pug.
Oh, you stole me.
I did it. Yes. Pip the Pug or the Painted Lady.
Pip the Pug, hands down.
Ooh, Pip the Pug.
I know Painted Lady, like face value, you're like, oh, I'll be able to, if I discard a really good card, I can just put it under the Painted Lady. But I set up my deck in a way where the cards that were getting discarded either came out, went to my hand, or shuffled back into the deck.
Yeah. I felt kind of the same way when I played it a while ago. It just never felt like it was landing as much as I was hoping it would. But if you can make it land, flipping down to say heal or something, he exhaust it, pull a card out of it. Next turn, pull another card out of it before you flip up. That's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but you've had to discard multiple cards to get them there. But I think maybe the reason I didn't play so much is I didn't have any type of confuse ability, or I didn't play anything that confused. So going down, because I can defend for so much, I just never went down. I want to say we played a game where I don't think I took any damage, or I took 1 damage the whole game.
Yeah. It is tough when generally supports for heroes are going to be alter ego associated abilities. And some heroes aren't flip heroes. They kind of, once you flip up, you're in there for a while until you occasionally need to flip down to heal or something.
Right, some weird circumstance.
You just don't. Yeah, sometimes it's not worth it to spend the resources to get a support you're only going to use maybe once or twice in a round, or not a round, but in a game.
Yeah. So my second hot take on that one is, if I ever played it, it's probably for caught off guard fodder.
Oh yes, yeah. I have done that too.
All right. I guess since you took all my rapid fires, I got one more for you.
Okay, because I have another one, but I think you're about to do it.
No, go ahead and rapid fire.
All right. Last one for me. Lucky and good, or lucky break? Is that the one you're going to do?
Yes, but I'm going to say hot take too. I don't think I ever played either of those cards. I just didn't find any value in them.
Yeah, I feel you. I tried to focus and play those 2, and they just didn't hit as much as I wish they would have. I think mostly because it's just saying, no, I don't like that, let's try another one. And sometimes it's just as bad.
See, that's my thing, is they're both of them are replaces. If either one was like a negate, I would find more value. Sure, the cost may be a little high because they're 1 cost and 0 cost, but Because you're right. It's a little bit of risk reward because you could get one that's worse.
Yeah.
Because like lucky break, you get like an assault and you're like, I don't want to be attacked, so you negate it and you reveal another one, and then it's like Shadow of the Past.
Yeah.
Like don't.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say I don't know. They're both just kind of meh. So it'd be nice if there was just like just a little bit extra. Like I don't know if it's like -1 to the boost for lucky and good, or for lucky break, it's instead of just revealing another one, draw the top 2 and choose one. So at least you have a little bit more control and not completely luck based.
Yeah. Well, see, I would say like what you just said, like draw 2 and then pick one. You're kind of creating that fake sense of luck in that way. You're still having to deal with something, but you're going to choose like the better option.
Yeah.
You're lucking out.
And for 0 cost, I think I'd be more willing to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that one's a tough one. I just didn't. They weren't as valuable as I think I was hoping that they would be.
Let's see. Rapid fire. You ready?
All right, my turn. Here we go.
Which one of the 4 posse members, I guess technically there's 5 because Domino's, but the 4 posse allies, would you play?
What do you mean by play? Just play with Domino or play outside of Domino? Well, there's only 2 you can actually play outside of Domino, but
play with Domino.
I think one that provides a lot of value is Atlas Bear. I think that ally is probably my favorite of them. Definitely Diamondback and Outlaw are pretty solid damage dealers, but I really like the ability to look at cards and kind of start planning your whole luck. It really helps with planning that luck for her setup.
Yeah, I would agree. And the one thing I like about Atlas Bear is you can exhaust and look at it, and you can choose to do nothing with it.
Yes.
Just gain the knowledge, and you're not hurting Atlas Bear by exhausting. You're just simply taking away a thwart or an attack that you might have been able to do.
Yeah, she kind of turns into like an upgrade, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about. And really, that's probably one that you could probably use in other decks.
Yes, I think I was gonna say I think that's the only one. I mean, the only other posse is White Fox, but Atlas Bear is the one that you could use with other heroes.
Because you could combo that with a Cosmo.
Yes.
You could gain the knowledge of that top card and then use Cosmo. All right.
Yep.
To play or not to play, her pseudo team up, the posse.
Every time I played her, I did not include it in the deck because I just didn't like it, and I think you never even played it.
I think I played it one time, and I only played it one time because it's so hard to set up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just having 3 of them. Yes, granted, you yourself are one, but then having 2 other ones that you didn't like use once or twice and just used as chump blocking. I just never really kept them out very long. And maybe you could use a leadership deck and like build off of that card in the posse keyword, but because all the posses are basic or her signature allies, so you can include them into like a leadership deck and then maybe work on getting them more hit points or being able to ready and different things like that.
Yeah, it's 2 cost, and you have to have 3 posse characters, and that's a pretty big kind of cost only get a heal and a ready.
And it's one of those where like a lot of the other team ups, you can usually play with somebody as that hero, and it cuts down some of that awkward setup timing. Where this one is solely on you. I mean, I get because you have to control it. So this one's solely on you to get it set up and going, and you have to luck out the right time to get it. Yeah. I'm just not a big fan.
No, I agree. It's just not that great.
Sorry, Posse. We did not touch on her pistols. And I think her pistols are pretty awesome. You exhaust the pistol, you discard the top card, and you deal 1 damage to an enemy. You choose the enemy first, technically, and then you deal 1 damage per resource icon discarded. And it also gains range, which is nice.
Yeah, it's her consistent damage output for sure.
And I think the other one that kind of pairs with that is the sharpshooter upgrade, which is a basic upgrade. When you make a ranged attack, because those gain ranged, you get to discard the top card of the deck. This attack deals 1 additional damage for each resource icon discarded this way.
Yep.
So you can almost have like a 4 damage for no continual cost. You do have your setup cost of 2 for the upgrade of her pistol and 2 for the sharpshooter. But once they're out, you can just go. And the other nice thing about sharpshooter is you don't exhaust it. So you can use it twice with each one for each pistol, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's a pretty solid card for her.
Yeah, it pairs with her mechanic really well. And I feel like she has a lot of mechanic specific cards thrown into her kit that you're going to include just all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you don't include a sharpshooter, you don't include at least 3 copies or 2 to 3 copies of Digging Deep, her resource card, in like every deck you play with her, you're just thinning your deck out with cards that aren't going to hit as well with her mechanic, because you want to stack that with stuff that's going to, benefit her, what she does.
Yeah. All right. What do you think about her obligation / nemesis set?
I'm going to go nemesis set first. I felt like they were very annoying. When they came out, they would just, because like not only does Topaz come out, but when she comes out, she makes you go fetch one of her supersonic feedbacks, which every time you resolve your ability, which is all Domino does, you've got to take 1 damage, and then you got to flip down and discard a identity specific card to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty annoying one.
Yeah. Her scheme's not awful. You either have to take 1 damage or place 2 threat on it. It comes with a amplify icon, base of 3. It's not awful. Let's see. Prototype. Place luck counters on prototype equal to the amount of damage your identity has sustained. I think we got him like 1 time. And I was pretty low health. And luckily, I think we were able to defeat the villain before he ever activated. But I do like his little mechanic there, where his hit points are based off of, like a secondary thing.
Yeah, I think it's a unique little when revealed effect that they've done for that character, and just adds a little difference to it. I mean, it's a pretty decent minion, but it definitely lucky depending on when you get it.
Yeah. All right, what do you think about our obligation?
My first thing is the obligation art is probably the most traumatizing art I've seen in Marvel Champions. It's depressing.
Are there like bullet holes on her back in that bottom right image?
That kind of does, or like stab wounds maybe, because I see it's like Wolverine on that. A little bit.
Yeah, he's over in the very bottom corner.
Yeah. Either way, it's very traumatizing, and I feel really bad for her.
Yeah, getting a tattoo to the face. It
doesn't sound fun.
Yeah. All right.
With that said, her actual obligation effects is is not very fun. It's kind of similar to the feedback in that it's just annoying. It's like, dang it, I got this. It really affects your turn, to the point where it can almost just be like an automatic turn killer.
Yeah. So the big thing is it makes your text box blank. So even if you're going to choose to like discard stuff and do all that, the max you can only ever get is typically 1 unless you've got a double resource card. Because all those wilds just become a single wild at that point.
Yep.
And like you said, it's a pretty much instant like flip down and get rid of it.
Yeah, it's one you have to take care of immediately. If not, you're just gonna get beat up.
So the other interesting thing about, the evolution of Marvel Champions is very like first, second wave, you saw a lot of like the you can flip the character to alter ego and exhaust and deal with it and blah blah blah. But like this one isn't like that. Like you get it, it's on you, and you've got to work around it.
Yeah.
So if you're in hero mode, you've got to flip down, get rid of it. Or if you're in alter ego, you got to get rid of it before you flip up and start doing anything.
Yeah. I think the last card I want to talk about before kind of wrapping things up is Hope Summers' ally. To be honest, I have forgotten that card comes with Domino.
That it exists.
Yeah, just because Hope Summers is part of the campaign. And so I've totally forgotten about this ally. And to be honest, I don't think I've even played Hope Summers. It doesn't look like a bad card. Just I feel like it's just gotten lost in the campaign.
I don't think I ever read her response. But after you play her, you can go search for a superpower card and put it in your hand. I think she may be beneficial to heroes that have a lot of superpowers.
Yeah, and she gains the trait of that hero too.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome because you could say get an Avenger and turn her into a redding machine
like
with
a Voltron
Sky Cycle. Yeah.
Right. Just start throwing a bunch of stuff on her.
Yeah. You can do all sorts of random things.
Yeah, because you're talking trait locked stuff with like Guardians and stuff.
Yep.
Web Warriors.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool to make her a Web Warrior.
That would be.
But yeah, to be honest, I don't have anything to say because I've totally forgotten that this ally has existed.
Yeah, I think the encounter set of Hope Summers kind of overshadowed this card.
Yeah. So.
All right. I got one other thing for you since you're the side scheme guy.
Yes.
She comes with, we already talked about her basic one to go fetch and upgrade. Let's talk about her Justice one. What do you think about Take Out the Guards?
So I feel like this one was a weaker one, but I have to say that every time we ended up playing it, it was useful. So I'm not sure if it is one of the weaker ones, as it did come in handy, but 0 cost, but it takes 4 per player threat to remove. It's not bad.
Yeah, you are right that it does have a higher threat value. Granted, it does have no cost, but you're kind of trying to balance either keeping it out and trying whittling it down to when you need to use it. And in our case, we play out of 2 players, so we can only have 1 player side scheme out at a time, and it's going to take that spot.
Yep.
And it's like, do you risk needing to use a different one, or do you, like you said, just kind of whenever you get it later in the game, throw it out there because it's like the last one you have?
Yeah, every time we played it, it was in a game where we were running out of player side schemes because we have done the other ones we wanted.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but it did come in handy several times.
I got another rapid fire since we're delving back into the justice cards.
Okay, do it. Go.
Feral or Wolfsbane?
Boo! I think you already have an answer for this. I think. I'm doing a quick read. Let's see. Wolfsbane is after Wolfsbane thwarts, name a card type, then discard the top card of your deck. And you can add it to your hand. Feral thwarts, discard the top card of your deck. For each resource icon discarded this way, deal 1 damage to the villain. I can see the value of both. I think Feral provides more consistency with Domino. But Wolfsbane provides a little bit of that luck that you can manipulate, say like a Spectrum, who basically only has events. You could stack your deck to utilize that.
You had it right the first time. Feral. The answer is Feral.
Okay, the answer is Feral, everyone. Write it down.
No, I played Feral. I found more value out of her because she has the higher attack, but the value is you can typically thwart and get the 2 damage with a wild resource for the 1 thwart. Consequential.
Yeah.
And it's not attack, so you can get around things.
Yep. It's true.
Let's see. The other thing I was going to point out is a lot of her cards are superpowers. A lot of her event cards are superpowers.
Yes. A Death Focus is very helpful.
So Death Focus is definitely a card to run when you play a Domino deck.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
And you could definitely do an X-Gene as well, because she's a mutant on her alter ego, which we really haven't talked about.
Yes. Though it's identity specific, so there's only 5 events that she has, though. So
it's true, but being able to play Luck Be a Lady for free, whether that's via an X-Gene or a Death Focus, is kind of nice.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, because her hand size is average. She's a 6 alter ego, 5 hero, so you should be able to do a couple things every turn, plus all of her upgrades.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, Ryan. Next rapid fire.
Oh no.
For the box, Cable or Domino?
I mean, personally, I like Cable more.
That is very subjective, and I feel like for us, when we play the boxes, it's the player we typically play, minus 1 box that I played. It's usually the one you kind of play first. I personally like Domino. I think with her play style, I like the complexity, timing, trying to like time and plan out this really intricate, turn that just flows from like one thing to another is really fun for my play style. So I find a lot of enjoyment, like a lot of fun factor playing Domino. And she's strong too, which is an added benefit.
Yeah, I have a lot of feelings similar to like Black Widow. Is you somehow make Black Widow great. Every time we play and you play Black Widow, I'm like, man, he's just killing it. And same thing with Domino. I'm like, holy cow, he's just making this thing sing. And then when I play it, it's just I kind of like keep tripping.
It's like you're trying to drive a manual car and you've never driven one before.
And I can't shift correctly, and it's just like grinding the gears. Ugh. Yeah. Just put the clutch down, man. Feather it. Yeah, I don't hate Domino. I think she's got some good cards. I think she has a lot of versatility with her. I think that my biggest complaint about her, and it's not necessarily her hero herself, it's some of the cards that she comes with that are I'm just not a big fan of like basic cards that are basically only for one hero. So specifically, she's got like Digging Deep, which is a basic resource. After this card is discarded from the top of your deck, add it to your hand. what other hero is actually going to be able to use that effectively?
You're very, very spot on with that assessment.
It's basically it's for her, and I feel like it's the designers are like, oh, we really wanted this card, but we can't, so let's just make it a basic and throw it in there. I think sharpshooter almost it threads that line because there are a few heroes that have range that could still utilize that. And I guess if you use sharpshooter, maybe you can use digging deep, but it's just, to me, there are other cards that would be better that it would take a slot for.
Sure.
And then
very,
of course, go ahead.
I was going to say very specific set of skills for that hero. If there's no way or very complicated way to achieve that cost, then it's just too cumbersome to even try and make work.
Yeah, and that goes for White Fox, her basic ally. It's you're not gonna ever utilize her ability, and I'm not gonna pay 3 costs for a 1/1 thwart attack. So
no,
and of
I
course,
agree.
No one can use Posse. So
yeah, she comes with a lot of cards that are only for her. They're not for her, but they're for her.
Yeah, and I think they work good for her, but I hate that you don't get to utilize them with other heroes.
It doesn't build the pool of cards like other potential, basics or aspect cards do.
Yeah. So ultimately, I think she's a hero that people should play. I think if people don't like complicated heroes, I think she's going to be a harder one to pass. But I think she's got a lot of good things going for her, and can definitely be super helpful in a game, solo or with multiple players.
Yep. All right, we have to do it. Where are you going to rank her?
What's our ranking system for heroes?
Everybody likes
oh, that's right.
The S,
A, B, C, D.
C, D, E, F, G. Yeah.
For me, I'm probably gonna put her overall in the B range, but I think a lot of people will like what she does and would probably put her in the A range.
That is correct, sir.
All right.
I would say like you said, depending on your play style, she may fall on your ranking, but I think if you like the kind of technical timing and all that kind of activation triggers, yada yada yada, I think she's up to like an A. I think she has some deficits with the wording at times, but I think she's well rounded and would be up in an A minus. Maybe future cards will make her better, but I feel like you're not probably going to get a lot of other discard cards and do X cards. You're kind of, her kit and player cards are kind of what you're going to get for her.
Yeah, until another hero that maybe has a similar mechanism, you're not going to see any more of these discard from the top, do this XYZ kind of thing.
Right.
So I will say her ranking would go slightly up more if there was a second copy of Luck Be a Lady, because I think that card is just fun.
Well, I was trying to wrap up, but what card do you get rid of?
Oh, I would say possibly one of the supports, either Pip the Pug or Painted Lady. I don't know if that's needed, but I would maybe do one of the upgrade superpowers, Lucky and Good, and Lucky Break. I think one of those might be or get rid of Outlaw.
Oh, only have one signature ally?
Yeah, forget about the whole posse thing, and because the only card that's really all about the posse is that team up card.
Right. It's like
There's
we're saying,
else.
Quit trying to make posse work.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. Gretchen, is it Gretchen? I can't remember.
I think so.
Little joke for those that have seen Mean Girls. Yeah, maybe get rid of Outlaw. I mean, I don't think she's a bad ally, but I think Diamondback is just as good. And I'd rather have Luck Be a Lady than Outlaw.
Sure. I would agree with you. I would rather have another copy of Luck Be a Lady than an additional signature ally, which we didn't talk about. She comes with 2 signature allies. I think that's the first. We've got some no signature ally heroes out there, but we've not seen a 2 signature ally.
Good on you, Domino. Congratulations.
All right, Ryan, it's time for another Chatting with Chumps segment.
Chatting with Chumps, you're a chump and so are we.
All right.
Is that a good theme song? No,
that's perfect.
That's
we have
worst.
a repeat chump coming at us.
I think that's a champ, right? Didn't we call him a champ last time?
I think we officially did, but do you become a chump again when you submit a new question?
For the sake of keeping up our little, I guess, mantra, why not?
All right, we'll see if he can go back to a champ. We'll see.
That's right.
So this is from Solo Papa again. His question this time is, what is your process for building decks? Do you play precons first or jump right into building your own?
It's an excellent question.
Kick us off. Do you play precons?
So the way I approach a new hero is generally I always play the precon once the first time.
You go full precon.
I go full precon.
You never go full precon.
I think there's a few times where I haven't, but generally I go full precon, and I have mixed feelings. Most of the time, I'm not a fan of the decks, because no fault to the designers. I think they're kind of restricted because they're having to bring out new cards and trying to make them work with those heroes when there's clearly better cards that they could use, like older cards, but they can't. They have to be pumping out new stuff, new content, right? But I often find the precons just don't flow very well with the heroes. I can't even remember a precon that I'm like, yeah, this was really good. Normally it's like, yeah, it was fine, but I think if you did this or this, it would be better. And essentially that's what I did with Cable. Is I played with Cable's precon, and I just felt like it just wasn't my play style, and I felt very sluggish with it. So I made a few tweaks to kind of fit more of what I was trying to do, and it worked a lot better. And and I think part of it too is generally with precons, like how I do, I give them that first playtest, and I'm also not only learning the precon deck, but learning the hero themselves, and that kind of also I think puts a little damper on precons, because you never play a hero quite perfect the first time because you got to get the feel for them.
Right, or if you're playing a hero completely wrong.
Yeah.
Psylocke, so.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
So I would say for me, I like to go with a modified precon. Now, have I played a full precon before? Yes, I have. If I was, just wanted to jump in and get a quick game in, didn't have enough time to really sort through all my collection to grab the cards I wanted. But with like a modified precon, what I mean by that is if I've got some like weapon or attachment or support or upgrade that I can only ever have one copy of out at any given time, I'm not going to run 3 of those. So I'll usually drop the 1 or 2 extra and put in something that I know is going to add some type of either resource generation or support assistance. So like a Def Focus or some type of X-Jet, Helicarrier, Quinn Carrier.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah. And generally with like just deck building themselves, or itself, I generally look at the hero cards and find out what's kind of their big thing. So for like your heroes that have form changes, those type cards are going to be great. Cable, very focused on side schemes. So cards that focus on side schemes, like Justice has a lot that you can put things on side schemes. Once they're finished, they do stuff like damage or gain an ally into your hand or whatever.
Well, the other thing with like that is like, can I combo off of what my main goal is and get some like secondary benefit? So I noticed with like some of your cable builds, you would whittle down the threat really low and then use a card that would, when you clear all the threat, you get to draw an extra card, or like multitasking where you could split scheme really easily to kind of get him low where you could finish him off so that Cable could then ready because of his ability.
Yeah. So that's basically what I do. Like the one that I really enjoyed is She-Hulk. I focused on the ally of Hellcat and her ability, which was to return to your hand. I was like, how can I maximize this to be super beneficial? So I built a leadership deck around her specifically. And the cards I put in, I also wanted to make sure that if for some reason, because it always happens, the card that you need is at the bottom of your deck, the cards also benefited other avenues that I put in.
Yeah, I would agree. So I guess like another one of the like process steps is look at what your hero does and look at what the traits are, and are there previous cards that can make that better. Like I was looking at a Psylocke deck because she has a card, an upgrade that lets her go fetch a skill card.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and looked at like, hey, what cards have skill as a trait?
Yeah.
And how can I use them to benefit Psylocke? And I think I've come up with a pretty decent deck that you can go fetch. Like it's like a resource generator. You can go fetch a card to like boost up her basic attack really easy, and some of these are like all 0 cost. So I'm really looking forward to playing that.
That should be fun. Yeah, there's so much things, and when in doubt, if you're struggling making your own, just go to Marvel's database
CDB.
and there is
CBD.
CBD. There's just tons of decks of. There's people that just go there to just create their own and submit them for fun, and there's some that I would consider like the professionals that specifically focus on how to make the best decks, and they're the ones that always have the hearts and the stars and stuff, and often those are going to be pretty good. So
right, they put time and effort and testing into those.
Yeah.
So the other thing I was going to say with my like trying to find like those traits and keywords, that's exactly what I did. I went out to Marble CDB, and you can filter
again,
that
just
way.
in case.
Marble CDB. You can filter by that trait. So I filtered for that skill trait, and it just filtered all the cards out for me, and then I could filter down to like aspect from there too if I needed and wanted to.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great resource, honestly. I'm glad the community has that to really just find a hero, pick a deck if you want to do it like that, or create your own. It's a great resource.
And I think the other like random thing with deck building is you have to remember like, what am I deck building for? Am I deck building to go beat an expert campaign? And that's going to look very different from like, there's this one random card that I've never played and I want to play it and make it work.
Yes, I've done that before.
And you just pick this obscure card that you would never play in a serious game. But in this game coming up, you want to use it. And you just have fun with it.
Yeah. And that's the fun about this game is there's different aspects, but you can be like, you know what? I want to be the player that helps everybody. And you can build a deck around that where you can heal or you can defend a lot or something like that, where you're not, say, an attacker or whatever. You can focus on archetypes of the shield or aerial or changing forms or whatever. There, at this stage in the life of the game, there's a lot of options.
And sometimes it's fun to do that. Like, how can I play like the sequencing of cards that you wouldn't normally be able to play? And be like, how can I create an Adam Warlock deck where I can make Hulk fly on a sky cycle with a laser blaster in his hand?
Yes. Yeah, there's definitely a couple heroes that you can do some extra crazy things with.
Yeah. So I think the moral of the story is have fun with it, and I think practice, see what works, see what doesn't work, and there's times when we play test decks, and you're like, that one card I thought I was going to use, I kept tossing it, never played it.
Yep, and it ultimately comes down to your play style. So you just find what you like playing as. Ally heavy, or you like reading a lot, and so on and so forth, and that kind of navigates you into the type of decks that you enjoy.
Yep.
Great question,
Solo Papa. I think
and we're the experts on this, right? So our words are sound.
And he went from chump to champ to chump, back to a champ
to champ.
So we appreciate you listening. Appreciate you asking the question. If you got any more questions like that, let us know. There should be some random cut to how to reach us in 3, 2, 1. All right. Well, if you'd like to let us know your thoughts about Domino, is she in A tier or does she fall lower? Does she fall higher? We would love to hear that from you. And you can reach us at marvelchampionspod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. We appreciate everybody listening. And remember, if you want to go from a chump to a champ, listen to the Marvel Champions podcast. See you.
Good luck.